Okay, now for parallel and perpendicular lines, as long as you learned, you mastered how to solve for slope, as long as you mastered how to solve for y equals mx plus b, as long as you know how to plug in, I think you should be fine. Okay, so for example, I'm thinking about y equals, let's say we have y equals 2 over 3x minus 1. Okay, we learned how to graph this before. So let's go ahead and review what we learned in graphing a line that is already in slope-intercept form. This y equals mx plus b. Now if you remember the y equals mx plus b, this constant -1 is your slope. I'm sorry, is your y-intercept. So that means you start with -1 as your y-intercept, and your slope is 2 over 3. You go up, and then you go to the right 3 times. You go up 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3 times to the right. Now you have to remember that the reason why we are going to the right is because the slope is positive. Again, -1 is your y-intercept. 2 over 3 is your slope. You go up 1, 2, and then 3 to the right. Okay? Now how about if I flip the slope and I'll make it negative. So how about if I make it -3 over 2x minus 1. Again, start with the y-intercept. Y-intercept is -1, so start with, again, so we are starting at the same y-intercept, -1, -1. But this time the slope is now a negative slope. So that means you are still going to go up, because we agreed that in graphing, given a slope, you always go up. Then the sign will tell you whether you go left and right. So right now we have a negative slope. So that means we go up 1, 2, 3, and then we go to left 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2 to the left. Now, I want you to pay attention to the two lines. What can you say about those two lines, given the equations and given the slopes? Okay, my observation is these two lines, they intersect, and at the same time they form a right angle. Now, we call two lines that intersect forming right angles as perpendicular lines. So we can now agree that for perpendicular lines, they have opposite, because here you have positive 2 over 3, and if we flip the slope and change it to negative, they have the, I would say, negative. Let's make it more technical. So we'll use the words negative reciprocal. That means if the two lines are perpendicular, the slope of the other line should be should be negative reciprocal. So, for example, let me have line 1. Okay, let me have line 1 here. Line 1 has a slope of -4 over 5. Now the question is, what will be the slope of line 2 if the lines are perpendicular? So first, you just have to flip that. It becomes 5 over 4. 1 is negative, then you have to make it positive. That's it. That's how easy it is. So let's say I have line 1 has a slope of 4. What do you think is the slope of line 2 if the two lines are perpendicular? So you know that 4 has a denominator 1. So to flip it and then change the sign, it becomes 1 over 4. That is positive. That means we have to change it to negative. Okay? Now, we are now done with perpendicular. So how about How about two lines having the same slope? Okay, so let's try y equals 2 over 3x, let's say plus 1 this time. Again, to graph this equation, we have 1 here, that's your y-intercept, and your slope is 2 over 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That is your equation. Now, for perpendicular, what I did was I flip it and then change the sign to negative. Now, how about if I have y equals, let me copy the same slope, and then let me say minus 2. Your y-intercept this time is negative 2. Slope is still 2 over 3. That means I still need to go up twice, and then 3 to the right. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Here you go. Now, what can you say about those two lines? They are parallel. For example, line 1 has a slope. Slope of line 1 is, let's say, negative 2 over 5. What will be the slope of line 2 if the two lines are parallel? If the two lines are parallel, then we can say that the lines must have the same exact slope. If the slope, the first one is negative 2 over 5, the second one must be negative 2 over 5 also. Okay? Now, here we go. Find the equation of the line that passes through 3, negative 1, and that is parallel to. Now, first is we are solving for the equation. Now, if you're solving for the equation, make sure you know the formula to use. Okay? Now, here is the formula. First, we need to find the slope. Now, you cannot find the slope having only 1 point. If you have 2 points, you can easily find the slope. Now, this time that you have 1 point, but you have the equation, I can go ahead and solve for the equation first. So, 2x minus 4y equals 12. Then let me solve for y. Copying negative 4y. I'm not moving negative 4y. I'm keeping it to the left. But I'm moving that 2 over. So that 2x becomes negative 2x, and then plus 12. Then I'll go ahead and divide everything by negative 4. Now, the reason why I'm dividing everything by negative 4 is because I need to have y alone. Now, I have negative 2 over 4. If you use your mental math or calculator, negative 2 divided by 4, and then math enter, is going to give you 1/2. X 12 divided by negative 4 is 3. Now, the reason why I used this is because I need to find the slope. And having y equals mx plus b will help you find the slope, which is now 1/2. Okay? Now that we have a slope, we can go ahead and concentrate now the word parallel. Now, a while ago, I just explained that two lines have the same slopes or parallel. Okay? So if the slope of this line is 1/2, what do you think will be the slope of another line that is parallel to that? Again, parallel lines have the same exact slope, so I'll go ahead and use 1/2 also. Then I can go ahead and use that, the 0.3 negative 1. So y minus y1, y1 is negative 1, so y minus negative 1 is the same thing as y plus 1, and then x minus 3, and then distribute. Again, do not get intimidated with that fraction, because if you multiply 1/2 by x, you just have to put them together. This positive times negative, that's why your answer will be a negative. to not get intimidated with a whole number and a fraction, because if you multiply half a fraction to a whole number, just multiply the numerator and a whole number, and that will give you 3/2. Or you can use your calculator for 1 divided by 2 times -3, and then math, enter, enter. You're still going to get -3/2. Now, I need to have y alone. I need to get rid of that -1, becomes +1, becomes -1. So, using your calculator, you can now do -3/2 minus 1. Okay, let me use my calculator here. -3 divided by 2 minus 1, and then math, enter, enter. Oh, math, enter, enter. Here we go, -7/2. And this is the equation of the line. Again, see that 1/2? I used the same slope just because the lines are parallel. Now, how about this time? How about if the two lines are perpendicular? Again, we're starting for the slope. We're starting for the equation, so we should be using y minus y1 equals x minus x1. But again, we need the slope. That means we need to use this formula. This equation, we need to solve for y. Because if you solve for y, it's going to give us y equals mx plus b. That means once we get y equals mx plus b, that means we can easily identify the slope. So here we go. I'm going to keep that -3y, move that 2x becomes -2x plus 6, and then divide each term by -3, -3, -3, cancel out. Y equals negative divided by negative is positive. Can you do something with 2/3? No. So we're keeping it 2/3. But we can do 6 divided by -3, which is -2. Okay. Do we need the whole equation? No. We only need the slope. Now the slope is 2/3. Now remember, for parallel lines, they have the same slopes. That means if the lines are parallel, we can just use this over there. But the problem here is the lines are perpendicular. Now, I just explained that if the two lines are perpendicular, all you have to do is to flip it and then change the sign. If it's negative, it becomes positive. If it's positive, it becomes negative. But you still need to flip the fraction. We call it reciprocal. Okay? So, now we have the first point. Y plus 3 equals y plus 3 is because of y minus -3. And then the slope because they are perpendicular. See, line, that's a symbol for perpendicular. I'm going to make it -3/2. I'm flipping it and then changing the sign. So -3/2, parentheses x minus 5. Okay, let's distribute. Again, do not get intimidated with a fraction. Just put them together every time you deal with a fraction and a variable. Now, negative times negative is positive. Again, to multiply a fraction and whole number, just multiply the numerators. The numerator, 3 times 5 is 15/2. Okay, we can go ahead and get rid of that 3, becomes -3. And now you have y is equal to -3/2x. And then use our calculator. Whatever you get in here, put it next to -3/2x. And that's it. That's it. That's how you solve the equation of the line. Let me try that. 15 divided by 2 minus 3. Then math, enter, enter. Then you get 9. It's positive, so just put 9/2. That's the final answer. Well, I know you can easily solve for that. Try that now. And then pause your video if you need extra time. And then you can also try this also. Try that, guys. Okay, copy the problem and then pause the video. Okay. So, well, let me go back here. Let me go back there now. Again, to solve for this, we have to use y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. Okay? But again, we need to find the slope. Let's use that formula, that equation to find the slope. So here we got 3 over 5x plus 2y equals 1. We need to find the slope. So what we need to do is we just need to move, okay, move the 3 over 5x over. Okay, you just need to, or if you're comfortable getting rid of the 5, just go ahead and get rid of the 5. So by multiplying everything by 5. So if you multiply everything by 5, you will have 3x plus 2 times 5 is 10y. And then here you go. And then move the 3x over. Now you have 10y equals 3x over becomes negative 3x plus 5. And then divide everything by, we need to have y alone, divide everything by 10. So now you have negative 3 over 10x plus 5 over 10 is the half. Now, we don't really need the entire thing because we just need the slope. But do we have to use negative 3 over 10 or the negative reciprocal of that? We'll see. Find the equation on the line that is parallel. Parallel lines have the same slopes, so we're going to use the same slope. And that would be negative 3 over 10. So y minus, what is your y1? Becomes plus 3. And they are parallel, so we're going to use the same formula, negative 3 over 5. Negative 3 over 10. Negative 3 over 10. X minus your x1 is 0. Distribute. Negative 3 over 10 times x is negative 3 over 10. X, negative 3 over 10 times 0 is just nothing, 0. So now we can move the 3, past the plus 3, and now we have y equals negative 3 over 10. X plus 3 over becomes negative 3. Done. That is the final answer. Okay? Now for this, I want you to just do this on your own, get rid of 3, multiply everything by 3, and then move over to the left, except for y. Make sure you have your y alone, and then use the same formula, and you should be fine. Go ahead, go back to the website, and complete the quiz part of it.